Good morning and welcome back to the lecture series on refugee migration diaspora. So, today we are going to introduce the concept of digital diaspora. So, diaspora studies has gone through different stages of development over the years in the recent past. It has incorporated a number of transnational flows within its ambit of reading or scholarship, and with time it has been able to free itself from binaries that are evident in the initial formulations within diaspora studies. The concept of diaspora has evolved significantly over the years, undergoing several semantic shifts. It has now reached a stage where its transnational implications and all its capitalist associations are included within the scope of the study. As technology has advanced, the concept of diaspora has also taken a semantic leap or a semantic shift. The idea of home as a place of longing has continued to evolve within the scholarship, reflecting changes in the locations and attitudes of the diaspora individuals. With the advent of technology and the emergence of globalization, there has been a significant blurring of homeland and hostland, to the extent that even the host land has begun to be accepted in the same spirit as the homeland. So, we see that this is also part of the optical illusion that post-modern experience brings with itself as a baggage, where the concept of far and near, the concept of familiar and unfamiliar, after a point, all these concepts are conflated thanks to the sophisticated methods of communication that we have now in our society. It could be transportation in the physical sense from one part of the world to another, it could be transmission of information. So the world has become smaller, and there is a kind of optical crack in terms of the host and the home, in terms of familiar and unfamiliar, where experiences after a point are simultaneous, they are hybrid, they are layered, and they are hardly pure, they are hardly, immutable. They are constantly flowing into one another. The homeland could become as unfamiliar as the hostland could become familiar. That kind of experience. Now, diaspora studies have remained confined to mostly debates of homeland and hostland, as well as acculturation and problems of belonging. However, within this scope of study, critics have hitherto paid little attention to certain issues, including the question of citizenship of the immigrants from countries with limited resources and opportunities. So, these are the nations that face significant socioeconomic challenges, which in turn affect the experiences of their diasporic communities. So, we are talking here about topics that deal with the distress that a counterpart, a spouse, undergoes in a host land, how the immigrant women's reproductive power shifts or revisits an existing state policy, as well as the impact of religion on the lives of diasporic subjects and communities. All these factors remain relatively less discussed topics within the diasporic studies. A fresh new perspective on diaspora studies can be found, which is interested in understanding the role of cyberspace in the diaspora. Diaspora critic and writer Himadri Lahiri has studied Monica Ali's Brick Lane from a fresh perspective through his reading of the character of Kareem, who is Nazneen's lover. Before moving on to Kareem's character, we need to understand what a digital diaspora is. The cyber boom, the popularity of social media platforms such as Facebook and WhatsApp, and the advent of Twitter were nowhere in the scene when human migration had started decades and centuries back. However, in today's age, life is unimaginable without the support of these digital platforms. So, digital innovations have a profound impact on the diaspora. The emergence of two seminal books in this relation in the field of diaspora studies, Jennifer M. Brinkerhoff's Digital Diasporas, Identity and Transnational Engagement, and the other work being Anna Everett's Digital Diaspora, A Race for Cyberspace. These two works testify to the impact of technology on diaspora studies. In the last decade, countless research works have been done in this area of digital diaspora, producing handbooks such as Mihaela Needleshoe's Digital Diaspora, alongside a substantial number of essays and articles that have been written on this topic. The term digital diaspora has still not been received unanimously to mediate diaspora studies and its cyber associations. However, in her book, Jennifer M. Brinkerhoff uses the term diasporas organized on the internet as a way of studying the impact of internet, the impact of social media on diaspora communities worldwide. So Brinkerhoff says the following, I quote, these impacts include the potential to foster democratic values, support integration in the host society, and contribution to security and socioeconomic development in the homelands. Unquote. Digital broadcasting satellites, internet based online media such as email, Usenet, listserv, as well as World Wide Web, alongside offline digital media such as CD-ROMs, all these together provide great opportunities in creating diasporic communities in the host land. So, the character of Karim in Monica Ali's novel Brick Lane is an ardent religious activist who thinks in terms of the local, where highly volatile inter-ethnic and inter-religious situations prevail. But he is also interested in establishing a global Islamic network. Unquote. Karim is often seen as using journals and cyberspace as a way of remaining updated and communicating with other members of his community and also communicating with people that are relevant in other parts of the world. And all these communications are happening through technology with the help of technology, and this enables Karim to build an Islamic network. So he is interested in building an Islamic network through using technology, the sophisticated methods of technology to propagate ideas. So he is found as carrying his mobile phone most of the time. Through the character of Karim, it can be observed how important mass media and communication have become in the 21st century. The new technology encourages the continuation and hybridization of cultural and religious practices in a host land. So, here it is important to understand that religion, which is certainly not a very modern concept of or category, is being propagated, is being promoted with the help of technology. So, technology may enable propagation of ideas, it could be promoting some form of dissent or anything that is, that helps in building a community across geographical borders and boundaries. So we see that this use of technology has been made both positively and negatively. So while technology has its own sophisticated side, this fast movement of information can also have its own dangerous side. The way ideological communities, political communities across borders and boundaries are built through passing of information, through propagation of information, also enables, also facilitates extremist activities. Terrorist organizations benefit a lot from how information is digitized, how information passes very swiftly through social media, through online media. So, as critics like Pedro Ojerzabal and Ulf Dietrich Rips point out in the article Migration and Diaspora in the Age of Information and Communication Technologies, the use of information and communication technology, or ICT, by immigrants remains an unexplored area of research. The formation of a diasporic identity is deeply dependent on ICT, which plays the role of a catalyst, as is exemplified through the character of Karim. The use of digital devices refashions the identity of diasporic individuals and the communities in the diaspora. So, like I was saying, digital diaspora or digital devices, which connects the people in the diaspora, the communities in the diaspora, enable formation of identity, refashioning, reconstruction of identities, and certain ideologies, certain values can be propagated, and a certain virtual group can be strengthened around certain causes, certain activism, certain causes, and or certain common goals that a given people are interested in. So Ojerzabal and Rips Point state that ICT facilitates the transnational flow of people and, I quote, formation, growth, and maintenance of diaspora communities and family ties, unquote. Diasporic individuals, according to the critics, I quote again, create formal and informal transnational networks in both the physical and digital worlds, unquote, with the help of technological devices such as personal computers, cell phones, and access to the internet. All of these, digital devices shape and reinforce their individual and collective identity. Now, the character of Karim traces the reasons for the rise of ethnic media in the diasporic space. One of the factors identified by Karim is the growing wealth of the minority communities, the rising acceptance of ethnic media among receiving societies, and the increasing technological possibilities for narrowcasting. Satellite telecasting is one such media, a technological development which Karim mentions in the novel, indicating its importance in communicating information and news to transnational audiences. However, we see that critic Victoria Bernal in Diasporas in Cyberspace is quite critical and somewhat skeptic about satellite television and prefers cyberspace over it. According to Bernal, I quote, satellite television is highly centralized, often censored, and one size fits all. It is often controlled by the government, by a dominant ethnic group, or by an elite class. So, Victoria Bernal feels that the key tropes of cyberspace are speed, mobility, connectivity, unboundedness, and information access. Unquote. She further states that cyberspace provides an escape from everyday reality, from the body, and from identity, decontextualization, and re-territorialization, all of which have been understood as kinds of freedom. So, when there is a displeasure regarding the states of affairs in one's host society, the cyberspace provides as an escape from the immediate reality. When there is a kind of dissatisfaction and inadequacy, a distance or alienation that one is facing because of the way one looks, one practices, or one, lives, move away or a getaway from such a dissatisfactory or from such an unfulfilling experience in terms of deterritorialization happens through the aid of digital media, through the help of forming an alternate community as a part of the digital diaspora. So, when one cannot fit into or cannot belong to the immediate surroundings, one's immediate physical surroundings, one becomes part of a digital diaspora. It compensates for the loss one suffers in actual life as a result of displacement and it also compensates for the missing direct contact with one's homeland and culture. Through cyberspace, the immigrant community has the agency to recontextualize and re-territorialize themselves. The immigrants may create a version of home, an alternative version of home, and a fact that is established by the subtitle of the homepage of the longest website called Eritrea Online, used by the Eritreans in diaspora. So, Bernal gives the example of Eritrea Online as the longest running website created by and used by the Eritreans in diaspora. The subtitle itself, Eritrea Online, creates in effect a virtual Eritrea, a virtual home. And Bernal observes in this regard, I quote, Eritreans may have entered the global village, but it suggests that the Eritreans do not escape their identity. On the other hand, they maintain their identity in the new context, unquote. So, Eritrea is a country in the Horn of Africa region of Eastern Africa, with its capital and largest city at Asmara. It is bordered by Ethiopia in the south, Sudan in the west, and Djibouti in the southeast. Italy had colonized this place for as long as 31 years, and this place has undergone several conflicts with its neighboring countries. So, Bernal further observes that the social construction of identity online is particularly significant for diasporas because their everyday lived social reality may be one of being rendered culturally, ethnically, and religiously invisible or possibly stigmatized. So, this lacuna that one is facing at the level of social reality, lived reality, is compensated through an alternative existence, a getaway through the digital diaspora, where one is finding or one is connecting with like minded people, similar people from across the globe. So, the concept of this home is once again an imaginary virtual space. The given example by Bernal is suggestive of how the Eritreans fail to escape their identity. Rather, what they are doing is creating their identities in newer contexts. So, this example establishes Bernal's argument that the internet offers diasporic individuals with a third space since they are, in a way, neither here nor there. They feel that they are simultaneously present in two or more places, and traces of these places can be found on the internet. So they're simultaneously belonging not only in the lived reality, in the physical space that they inhabit, but also living or inhabiting a space that they have found on the internet. This third space also offers new opportunities for collaboration and co-production between diasporas and compatriots in the home country. So this is creating a connection between the people from a particular country that have become immigrants and the compatriots that live in that country. So this third space is creating a network among the people in diaspora or the immigrants and the compatriots in the home country. Diasporic communities are increasingly leveraging the power of blogs and social media groups in order to foster discussions on contemporary political and cultural issues. These platforms serve as crucial tools for community development, and they enable members to share their views and they mobilize support and advocate for their causes through the social media. So, these platforms serve as crucial tools for community development, and they enable members to share their viewpoints, mobilize support, and advocate for their causes. Coming to the Tibetan diaspora as a case, we see that Tibetan diaspora is partly an under researched area, and it is exemplary in understanding the opinion formation and exploring methods for socio-political mobilization. The diasporic Tibetan community utilizes cyberspace towards the development of its virtual community. The struggle to achieve Tibet's liberation and preserve Tibetan culture constitute two main cyberspace discussion areas. After the Chinese takeover of Tibet, many Tibetans fled their country and are now scattered in different parts of the world. So, a significant part of this population is connected, through the cyberspace. They form their own virtual community through, network across the globe created through the cyberspace. They create their own virtual community through a network created, and connecting them through cyberspace. Now, Jennifer Brinkerhoff's close examination of the role of Tibet Board, which was founded in 2000 by Dorji Nudup, further explicates the role of cyberspace in the context of the Tibetan diaspora. In an article titled Diaspora from the Himalayan Region, Nation and Modernity in Select Literary Works, scholar and critic Himadri Lahiri also discusses the role of mass media and cyberspace in the creation of an imagined Tibetan community and a pan-Tibetan identity among the diasporic Tibetans who are scattered in different parts of the world. This article in particular explores the role of Tibet Rights, which is a small press that publishes works of Tibetan activists. So, Sengol, Stories and Poems of Resistance, which came out in 2012 by Tenzing Sundu, is one such work. The print media, therefore, acts actively in creating a sense of togetherness on the basis of the common Tibetan identity. Brinkerhoff informs that Tibet Board is a website that encourages interactive informal discussions about Tibet. Tibet Board, while discussing Tibetan identity, politics, and policies of the Tibetan government in exile, also discusses a figure such as Dalai Lama, who is an iconic Tibetan religious leader who fled his country in 1959. So it updates information regarding immigration and provides useful links and advice to potential immigrants. This website includes sections that engage. Sections that engage active discussions on culture, traditions, politics, and other important topics. It has a chat room allowing about 80 to 90 people to chat. Cyberspace becomes an open platform that allows people to mix and mingle. As Dorji Nudup states, that the traditional Tibetan culture does not favor them to speak openly. So, this becomes an alternate space where people can still speak. The participants are also allowed to comment anonymously, which is important in voicing out their opinions. Nudup points out that although registration with Tibet Board in order to participate in the discussion is important and required, one could easily find a way by choosing, whichever username one likes. One could easily find a way out by choosing a different username, that is. So, by doing this, even Tibetan participants are able to discuss sensitive political issues that are otherwise considered as not, So, in this way, sensitive political issues can be discussed by the Tibetan participants, which are otherwise censored from public discourse. In the context of the Tibetan issue, Brinkerhoff summarizes the role of cyberspace thus. I quote, because Tibet Board does not command physical world power resources or seem to take seriously any mobilization agenda for action in the physical world, its primary implication for power is a psychological one, deeply rooted in psychological empowerment. So, Tibet Board affords members opportunities to experiment with and develop the capacity to aspire, envisioning alternatives and different and potentially better futures. Unquote. So, what people cannot talk about in their everyday life, in their immediate reality, can be discussed through this platform, this social media platform, virtually known as Tibet Board. So, in concluding remarks on the advent of the digital diaspora, the recent essay by Laura Candidato and Sandra Ponzanesi titled Digital Diaspora Staying with the Trouble defines digital diaspora as the dispersion of a community or group of people through digital means, highlighting one essential characteristic, which is its everydayness, its mundane nature. So, digital media actually celebrates and propagates the mundane activities, the mundane thoughts, and exchanges. So, while considering different layers that the notion of digital diaspora entails, including internet specific, network oriented, and embedded in wider social practices, we foreground the idea of a digital diaspora conveyed through its everydayness that relates to establishing points of connection and support based not on national or ethnic bonds but on conviviality, mutuality, and support within and across diasporas. So here we are celebrating ordinariness, the agency, the agential, positions of the no-name ordinary Tibetans. Basically, their everydayness, their mundane, ordinary thoughts are being propped up in a way. So digital diasporas are basically sites of intersectionality, and they significantly mediate and are mediated by different features of a diasporan's identity. With this, we come to the end of our lecture here today. Let's meet with a new topic in our next lecture. Thank you.